Okay, so today we wanted to talk about the unit circle. And so a unit circle is a circle with radius equal to what? 1. Okay, so in a unit circle, the radian measure of the central angle is equal to the length of the arc length. Okay, so why? Do you remember theta equal to what? S over R, yeah? And theta here is actually what? T equal to what? S over R is what? 1. So what does this thing equal to? T equal to what? S. So this means the angle T here, the angle using the number T here is equal to the arc length. This is Y, okay? So if T is a real number, P, X, Y is a point on the unit circle. XY is a point on unit circle. What does this mean? This means what? X squared plus Y squared equal to what? 1. Okay, and this also tells you R will be equal to 1. R equal to what? Square root of X squared plus Y squared equal to 1. So this is for the sine of T equal to what? Y used to be what? Y over R, which will be what? Y here. So similarly, we will have all these things, all the other formulas corresponding to here. So X over R is what? X. It's R over Y is what? Y over Y. All these things. Okay. Okay. So the trigonometric functions in a unit circle is just a special form of the definition. So where R equal to 1. Okay. So and similarly we can find all the sine of t, cosine t, tangent t for the point P here. So remember, the first one is your X, this is your Y. So for sine of t is your Y over R, yeah? So this is your Y over R, okay? So then a tangent equal to what? Opposite over adjacent. So you can draw something like here. This is Y, this is X. You draw a right triangle here. Okay, and we draw a right triangle here. This is a half, this is square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and then you can find all the rest of them very easily. And here is 1. Okay, very easily. Okay, so the domain of the sine and cosine function is negative infinity to infinity. And the range is what? Negative 1 to 1. Why? So because, the domain means, what will be the domain? You can see y equal to what? Sine theta. So theta can be any real numbers. Do you remember? It's what? One revolution, another revolution can continue forever, yeah? So this is why is negative infinity to infinity. But for sine sine theta is what? Opposite over hypotenuse. And cosine theta is what? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Yeah, so where these things come from? So it's come from here, theta, opposite and adjacent and hypotenuse. But in the right triangle, your opposite side is less than the hypotenuse. Your adjacent side is always less than hypotenuse too. So your legs is always what? Less than the hypotenuse. So the opposite less than hypotenuse. So this one is less than or equal to 1. This one is less than or equal to 1 too. Okay, and because it's what? You have a negative sign, so this is what? Bigger than or equal to 1, bigger than or equal to negative 1. So this is where the thing comes from. Okay, so when will this one be equal to 1? don't forget there is what when theta equal to 0 and your top is the same thing here. Okay, that's a special case. Okay, so the next thing we wanted to introduce here is even and odd function. So I think we always wanted to remember which one is the even function. It's cosine. And what else? Secant. Why? Because secant t, maybe we use t here. So secant t equal to 1 over cosine t. So if cosine is even, secant is also even. Okay? And the rest four of them will be what? Odd. So odd means if you have a negative sign, the negative sign goes out. Yeah, so we want to remember the definition. Fx equal to negative f negative x. This means even. Fx negative x equal to negative fx. That means odd. Yeah. So we learned these things in chord algebra. Okay. Okay. So the next example. So we wanted to use even odd properties here. Cosine negative 60 degrees. So we used to be thinking about, we have to write the reference angle and reference angle plus the quadrant, yeah? So what is the reference angle? Negative 60 is what? 60 degrees. Which quadrant is this angle in? Quadrant 4. So when we have ASTC, quadrant 4, cosine is what? Positive. Yeah. So what does this cosine negative 60 degrees equal to? Cosine what? 60 degrees, which will be what? Half. Before we know even odd properties, we have to learn two things. Yeah, reference angle and quadrant. Now we can directly use the even odd property. This is what? Cosine 60 degrees equal to half. And tangent negative power 6 is directly the negative sign comes out. It will be negative square root of 3 over 3. Okay. So the next thing is a very important thing too. So a function is periodic. Periodic means if you add something, the value of the function does not change for all the t in the domain. Okay, so then this is called the positive number p here is called what? The period. Okay, so what will be the period of the sine and cosine? It's 2 pi. Why? Do you guys remember? So if you have an angle, we can have one angle, but we can also have what? One revolution plus this, because it has the same terminal side. Yeah. So obviously 2 pi is a period. 2 pi is a period. Yeah. So because you have the same terminal size, then all the trigonometric function values are exactly the same. Okay, so this is why the period is 2 pi here. Okay, the period is 2 pi. Okay, but for tangent and cotangent, it's different. We will talk about it later. Okay, find the exact value of each trigonometric function. So like cosine 405 degrees. So because this is an angle bigger than 360, so what could we do? So I typically, what I will do is 405 degrees. I will use what? Equal to what? The same as 405 degrees minus 360 degrees. Which will be what? Cosine 45 degrees. So it's the same thing. So, but you can directly minus the angle is the same thing. Okay, so you can plus or minus is the same thing. Okay, so similarly we can do this one too. Okay, so the periodical property is the tangent and cotangent. So what will be the tangent and cotangent? So it's what? The period is pi. The period is smaller than this. Why? Because what happened when you say, how could I say this? Because do you remember A, S, T, C? So A is positive here, yeah? And then T is another positive, yeah? Okay, so I think this is using this to explain it's hard. Okay, so I think we will save it for later when we talk about the graphs. Okay, so in your homework, you have some questions like this: tangent pi, tangent 6 pi. What will be tangent pi? It's the same as what? Tangent of 0 plus pi, yeah? Because pi is the period, yeah? So what happened is the same as what? Tangent 0. What is tangent 0? It's 0. Okay, tangent 6 pi. What could we do if we wanted to use pi at 5 pi, yeah? So the same thing as tangent 5 pi, and then the same thing as tangent 4 pi, and the same thing as this one. The same thing, finally it will be the same as tangent 0 again. So it's 0. You with me? So tangent 5 pi, it will be tangent 4 pi plus pi, and then dot 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 dot, and then it will be finally this, yeah? Okay? Okay, so sine of 2 pi. What will be sine of 2 pi? We can use what? Sine of 0 plus 2 pi is what? 0. And the 6 pi is what? The same as what? 2n pi is 2 pi times what? 3. So 0 plus 2 pi plus 3 is 0. Okay, so and yeah, so when you know this formula is plus n pi, yeah? So then what will be tangent of 6 pi? It's the same as what? Tangent of 0 plus 6 pi, because the period is pi, yeah? So it's directly equal to tangent 0, which will be. Okay, so this is this section.